remain standing for the pledges. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now we'll pledge to the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. And now we'll do the Peak Pledge. I pledge to do my best this day to honor myself and others in everything I do, to accept responsibility for my own learning, and to encourage others as I embrace my own opportunities to grow, and to prepare for college at every opportunity. Mediocrity is not an option, only excellence will do. Who I am has value, what I think has value, Coigo ergo sum. Who I will become is invaluable to the world. You guys may be seated, thank you. At the end of the ceremony, please join us in the Great Hall for refreshments. Also, note that video recording of today's ceremony will be made available on the Uplift Peak Preparatory website. Now, Ms. Robinson will introduce the class-elected speaker.
Good afternoon. Alejandra Aguilar exhibits a level of maturity that makes her stand out from her peers. She is never timid in her approach to learning and is willing to be fearless with her ideas. She is able to learn about, appreciate, and adapt to the community and cultures of others. One of her former teachers, Megan Frazier, said this about Alejandra. She takes feedback well from both instructors and peers, and is willing to incorporate that feedback into her final products. She comes to class inquisitive and with questions, ready to probe the minds of everyone involved, pushing the conversation and thinking of not only her classmates, but her teachers as well. As her college counselor, Alejandra recently informed me that when she chooses topics for research papers or class projects, she chooses topics that are open-minded, which allows her class to think more critically about world issues. She influences her classmates to read more, to write more, and to find something they are passionate about in order to become change agents in their field of study. If you ask one of her teachers or peers how they would describe Alejandra, they would inform you that Alejandra is very passionate about social justice issues that include gender roles, race, and feminism. She describes herself as an activist who was not afraid to stand up for what is right. Alejandra embodies a strong sense of self-confidence and grit. She has determination, a fierce desire to learn, and strong moral compass. May I now introduce to you the class-elected speaker, Alejandra Aguilar.
Good afternoon, teachers, staff, parents, and of course, the class of 2016. After 9 years at Peak, 9 really long years, saying goodbye seems impossible. I feel like I'm experiencing this bittersweet moment through the eyes of someone else. So I've decided to leave my peers, well, no, my friends, well, friends for the most part, with one of my favorite quotes by YouTube personality, Dan is not on fire. You, all of you, are one human with one life, and it's up to you to make it the best life you can. Many of us are first-generation students, and statistically, only 64% of first-generation students will make it through to higher education. But we are not a statistic, we are more than a number. We have had amazing teachers that have pushed us to see the world from different perspectives and have forced us to pull all-nighters to finish assignments. Springer, I forgive you. I forgive you for all the emotional breakdowns that were a result of your class. because they made me a better student and a better person. Mr. Candiotto, you have always told us that we need to experience things outside of our bubble and have encouraged those of us obsessed with South Korea to study abroad there. Mr. Berger, in your own weird way, you have poked fun of us and as a way to encourage us and highlight our passions and interests. And yes, zoos are prisons. Peak has never told us to limit what we think we can accomplish. Well, except that one time I persuaded Edgar to put on a skirt to protest the gender roles within our dress code, and we were shut down by administration. However, throughout the years, we have learned to be active members of our community and to challenge authority. We are all aware of the inequalities within our community and our responsibility to be catalysts for change. Whether it's Stephanie gathering signatures to add veggie burgers to the school lunch menu so future vegetarians and vegans don't go hungry during lunch. And honestly, cutting out meat from our lunches is way more sustainable and healthier. Or whether it's the ASAP scholars attending the College Race Symposium to start a discussion on how to deal with the discrimination and disrespect that students of color face in college. We have the passion and we accept the fact that it will be our responsibility to create a more equal society for generations to come. We are stepping out into the world. Stepping out into the world. That's such a cliche. But we live in an imperfect world filled with injustices such as racism, sexism, homophobia, discrimination, and as students of color, and as students of color, we have to use our education to make a difference. We have to make sure that our voices are heard in a world that's insisting on silencing us. If we want to see change, we have to create it by lightly and peacefully shoving it down their throats. Don't let your voice be muffled, because in case you haven't noticed, it has somehow become uncool to sound like you know what you're talking about or to believe strongly in what you're passionate about. According to Marina Watanabe, women are often criticized for their speech patterns. Frequently, women are deemed as unintelligent because of them. Academics have even been known to describe some of women's speech patterns as impediments. However, these assumptions that we make about people have much bigger real-world consequences. A study published last May by researchers at Duke and the University of Miami showed that women who use higher or lower tones of pitch experience discrimination in job interviews. According to these studies, these women were less likely to be rated as educated, competent, trustworthy, or attractive. It is somehow necessary for society to tell us how to speak. They judge our likes and our ums, interrupt conversations that aren't even theirs, and tell us to speak like we mean it. They like to inform us that we're ruining the English language. Moreover, as women, we aren't taken seriously because we avoid their hyper-masculine words. They try to tell us that we have a confidence problem, but we don't. I'm tired of being told that being angry doesn't solve anything, and that being angry just gets in their way. Maybe I use so many likes and ums because I'm so used to being cut off, but maybe tears and feelings never helped anyone, and maybe everything girls do is a waste of time. Well, that was rhetorical, it's not. You can't just challenge authority. You have to braid its hair. You have to teach it to do the bend and snap. Tell it looks really good. And right before you murder it with your sweetness, you let it know that like this moment is like, it's like me using my voice. We are all prepared. We are all well prepared for what's to come, but not only by our teachers, but our families as well. Luis, you made me a stronger person and analytical thinker. Without you, I wouldn't be the person I am today. I couldn't have asked for a better big brother. However, my biggest support system has always been my parents. Mother, father, gracias. Elvira and Rafael Aguilar son amables, decentes y muy generosos. Son mis pilares sin lo cual no podía estar hoy aquí. Estoy orgullosa de ser su hija. Mis padres nunca me dejaron creer que no podía ser lo que yo quería ser o la persona que yo podía ser. Ellos llenaron nuestra casa con amor, diversión, libros y música. Gracias por ver darme el mundo. A través de estos 16 años, 18 años, no sé si alguna vez se han dado cuenta que la persona que yo más quería ser es ustedes. Gracias, mamá y papá. Ustedes son mis postes indicadas para todo. Los quiero mucho.
Thank you, Alejandra, for that call to action. This year, the battle for salutatorian, or the second highest class rank, was fierce. We had to look at decimals all the way into the 100th position, and in the end, it was so close, we decided on a tie. Please congratulate the Uplift Peak Preparatory Class of 2016 salutatorians, Daisy Campos and Jacob Villalobos. In addition to excelling in the classroom, both Daisy and Jacob spent countless hours outside class studying, including after school and many Saturdays with me preparing for one of their several AP tests. Both students participated in extracurricular activities such as senior committee and prom committee. We definitely would not have had prom this year without their tireless efforts. One of the qualities they both have, the quality that many of the students fighting for this place on stage today, is the ability to persevere through a long and difficult senior year, conquering challenges in the classroom, learning how to work within strict time constraints, and overcoming self-doubt and senioritis. Congratulations, it's over, and you made it. It is now my privilege to introduce Jacob Villalobos.
Parents, teachers, colleagues, and administrators, it is an honor to be able to speak here before you. Today, we would not be here without the help of our teachers, staff, administration, and family. For some of us, we will be the first from our families to graduate from high school. For others, the first to enroll in college. And through all the countless hours of missed sleep, Springer, and confusing homework, Morales, excuse me, I'm still recovering from senioritis. Everything has led to this day. But this is just the beginning. There are many tasks ahead that will challenge us both physically and mentally. The moment you say you are ready to take on the world is the moment you've lost. Classmates, there will be many obstacles ahead of you. From gas prices to budgeting and the occasional splurge, I'm talking to you, Ivan, Mr. $500 Louis Vuitton belt. Many of us have changed a lot in the last 4 years. Some of us have grown taller, some of us shorter. Personally, I've gone through a lot within the last 4 years, but my troubles started long before I ever became a freshman. I arrived at Peak in the 5th grade, and I had many high hopes for this school. I wanted to connect with the other kids and make friends, but I was already off to a bad start. I didn't play soccer. I had no video game console whatsoever. Surprising, right? Apparently, I didn't know that you needed those things in order to be a real guy. But everyone else thought so, and I immediately gained a spot at the lowest end of the social spectrum. You have your drama queens up here, the jocks down here, and the nerds down here. Heck, I wasn't even on the spectrum. My people were over here. Being at the bottom of the food chain had its setbacks. I was bullied almost every other day by other classmates just because I didn't like soccer. I was excluded from most social events and considered an outcast. I was alone and afraid. Every night I would remember their voices. You're stupid, you're a nerd, you're gay, you're a loner, you're a loser. In middle school, I was seen as the goody two-shoes. I loved learning, which was considered taboo at the time, and I admired and respected my teachers. Fast forward through a couple of years, and we get to 8th grade. I became depressed and dreary, miserable and melancholic, and I hid it with a smile. One night, I became so upset, I grabbed a kitchen knife and I held it to my wrist. I would have cut myself, but someone walked in the kitchen and I quickly grabbed an apple. I'm just cutting apple slices, I said. It was the first time I had ever attempted to hurt myself, but it wouldn't be the last. Through high school, I struggled. Trust no one, conceal, don't feel. Marina and the Diamonds have a song titled Oh No. In the second verse, Marina sings, because I feel like I'm the worst, so I always act like I'm the best. This was me in high school. I was jealous of people, of everyone, of the way they danced, the way they talked, the people they hung out with, the jobs they had, the cars they had, the grades they had. And even though people have told me, Jacob, you're so great. Jacob, you're so smart. Jacob, you're so talented. I never thought the same. The voice in my head said, you're worthless. You'll never be good as anyone else. But those voices haven't won yet. I am a Gates scholar. I am a Dell scholar. I am an outgoing person who loves meeting new people and exploring new places. I am a college freshman at Middlebury. I am a bisexual male. I am only defined by myself and no one else. We all have those voices, the voices that say you can't do something, the voices that put you down, the voices that belittle you and make you seem insignificant. Well, I have a question for you. Will you let those voices define you, or will you define you? Will you stand up in the face of bigotry, or cower in fear? Will you fight for what you believe in, or will you conform to the beliefs of others? A wise woman once said, label yourself before society labels you. And this situation is no different. Don't let fulano or mangano tell you who you are, because you are worth something. You're smart, you're brave, you're outgoing, you are beautiful, you are powerful, you have beliefs, and you must share them with the world. Don't let any other voice tell you otherwise.
Thank you, Jacob. And now it is my pleasure to introduce one of the most hardworking and cheerful students I know, our second salutatorian, Daisy Campos.
I am ecstatic to say that we did it. We overcame some tough situations, but we enjoyed some great times as well. After all the memories, experiences, and classes we shared, I get an odd feeling in the inside when I realize that this might be the last time the class of 2016 will be together for a while. There are many feelings that are running through our minds. Fellow graduates, today we conclude our time as scholars of Uplift Peak, and we embark on a journey to accomplish marvelous things as individuals with diverse careers. Before we begin this new journey, I invite you all to reflect upon our last few years together. For me, these years have been special because of the sense of community that has developed at our school and how it has affected my personal experience at Peak. When I first walked into high school at Uplift Peak Preparatory, I was hesitant. It is never easy to walk into a new school when everyone's a stranger. During my first days at Peak, I could not help but wish I had friends. It seemed as though after middle school, almost everyone here already knew each other really well. I worried that it would be difficult to find a place for myself amongst my peers. However, I found the exact opposite to be true. Being shy, I went through a period where my friendships were few, but by the end of the first year of high school, those friendships grew. I had established the beginnings of a strong bond with my bobas, Yvonne, Lysol, Mariana, Alexander, Alexandra, and my wifey, Carranza. And Jessica, you have been my A1 since day one, and our bond is unbreakable. And Lisa Popeyes, I love you. Okay. Honestly, I don't know what I would do without my bobas and Popeyes and Jessie. I love you guys. Thank you for being you. Each year, the number of friends continue to grow. Standing here today, I can sincerely say that I consider all of you my friends. Of course, some friendships are stronger than others, but it is interesting that I can feel comfortable with and can enjoy conversing with any scholar in my class. This is a noteworthy sign of the school's tight-knit community. I know I have not been the only one who has experienced this great sense of community at our school. Scholars at Peak, especially in this graduating class, have been accepting of one another. We respect each other. Acceptance and respect are fundamental tenets of our school, something I am most proud of. At Peak, it is rare to remain an outsider for long because someone is always ready to accept you. For instance, my group of friends, the Bobas, did not stay strangers for too long. Our friendship has grown, and so have many others in our class. This amicable and welcoming spirit at Peak also extends to you, our teachers and faculty. You go out of your way to build strong relationships with scholars, to mentor us, and show genuine interest in our lives. Our teachers display their interest in us in so many ways. Our teachers attend our athletic events, shows, and activities because they care about us. They are at school early and stay late. Another proof of the heart of our teachers is the number of alumni who come back to visit after they have graduated. This shows how again and again you, our teachers, go beyond the call of duty and your dedication to us. You, the teachers at our school, are irreplaceable. Thank you. Peak has done many great things for all of us, even if we do not acknowledge so at the time. At the end of the day, it was the help from our teachers and our sense of their help which has made it possible for all of us to be here today receiving our high school diplomas. The effects of this strong sense of unity go far beyond words and are evident in our results. We have accomplished concrete things that I believe would have not been accomplished without Peak's unifying spirit. We have received recognition for academics, extracurricular, and athletic events. Last but not least, we have developed an atmosphere where students can pleasantly attend and grow spiritually every day. We all have something to offer, and we have proven ourselves. I hope that my reflection has shed some light onto Peak's sense of community and spirit. In the great words of Taylor Townsend from the OC, they say there's nobody older than a high school senior, but nobody younger than a college freshman. As high school graduates, we prove otherwise. Before we start at the bottom of the chain and begin to climb again, enjoy this moment. I hope the memory of our friendship will be everlasting, and just because we're leaving Peak, it doesn't mean our learning is done. We must learn as long as we may live. Congratulations, class of 2016. We out.
Before we introduce the keynote speaker, I would like to take a moment to recognize a group of Uplift Peak seniors who rank the highest in GPA among their class. Though the entire class of 2016 has worked incredibly hard these last 4 years, this group is at the top of the class. Seniors in this distinguished group include Jessica Rodriguez, Daisy Campos, Jacob Emmanuel Villalobos, Alejandra Aguilar, Leslie Alejandra Vieira Juarez, Adam Edward Guyona, Jasmine Alexis Ortiz, Vicente Lopez, Lizette Guzman Navarrete, and Patricia Rivera. These cords represent all that you have achieved here at Peak and all that you will go on to achieve when you leave us. Let's give them one more round of applause.
It is my privilege to introduce our keynote speaker. Adan Gonzalez, founder and executive director of the Puede Network, grew up in South Oak Cliff, one of the toughest, poorest neighborhoods in Dallas, Texas. He's the son of Raul and Zenaida Gonzalez, immigrants from León, Guanajuato, Mexico, and one of 4 children. Adan graduated from Georgetown University with a major in government and a minor in education, inquiry, and justice. Adan served as the captain of the Georgetown University boxing team and won the U.S. National Collegiate Championship. Adan is a U.S. Congressional Gold Medalist, Jefferson National Public Service Awardee, Coors Light National Latino Leader of the Year, Gates Millennium Scholar, and National Coca-Cola Scholar. Adan is working full-time with the Puede Network, where he organizes initiatives with C-suite executives to provide comprehensive college access services, volunteer opportunities, and mentorship to underprivileged students in the inner-city public schools. He has engaged with over 100,000 students and parents in numerous states throughout presentations, blogs, and radio programs, advocating the importance of higher education, parental support, and community involvement. Adan aspires to make his family proud and to make a difference in the world. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to our honored guest, Adan Gonzalez.
I just made sure I said hi to my Gates brother. So in short, you guys look amazing. Every time they describe or introduce me, it still feels weird. Even today, I wrote some thoughts, and I usually just wing stuff, right? But the importance of being here today for me matters. It means the world because I'm just like you. And when I say I'm just like you, hopefully you'll identify with some of my story, and I'll be able to share some things that'll be helpful. The topic of my talk today is simple, is having the courage to find meaning. Having the courage to find meaning. Today we celebrate. We celebrate the importance of your hard work. We celebrate the importance of your sacrifice. We celebrate the value of your education. And today, we celebrate your heroes, your role models, your family, your parents, or that special individual, teacher, friend, who had the courage to believe in you. So we can give them a warm applause. It'll be awesome. I am humbled by the opportunity to be here today. My name is Adan Gonzalez, and I'm 23 years old. I'm a proud son of two immigrants from León, Guanajuato, Mexico. And I'm a product of the best hood in Texas, which is Oak Cliff. A year ago, I graduated from Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. And next May, I will be graduating from Harvard Graduate School of Education with my master's in education. I wish I could tell you guys that this feels like a dream. I wish I could look at you in the eyes and say that I worked towards this opportunity or to be able where I'm at right now, but I would be lying. My childhood was very simple. I didn't have the privilege to dream. I didn't know what tomorrow can look like because we were always worried about surviving that current day. To understand why I'm here, you must understand why I describe myself as a fighter. I was fighting before I even knew the ring. In the wanting inner city classrooms of Oak Cliff, I fought to learn while my father fought in the streets for beans and rice. I watched my mother and father cry when we could not afford the rent, but I grew courage. I was 7 years old when I obtained my first real job, working in La Pulga Chiquita, the local flea market, selling Dr. Peppers, Doritos, and movies to help my parents buy our school uniform. When I was 7 years old, when I was 6 years old though, the reason I started working, my dad was shot 5 times and dragged two blocks in front of me. And although I don't remember the time vividly, I do remember picking up his shoes. And to me, that signified the end of my childhood, where soon you pick up the bills, because as first generation Latino students, we pick up the bills to translate. I saw Child Protective Services take my friends, many who eventually quit school, join gangs, or follow that statistic that we always hate to hear. In school, I studied books that were decades old, but graduated senior class president, and the idea is that all these experiences, I grew courage. I was able to win over $1 million in scholarships, but the real story is that I submitted every college and scholarship application sitting at the curb of McDonald's using a laptop from a teacher and the internet that wasn't mine. But I grew courage. I took my first steps to walk into Georgetown University, where at the airport, mi papá y mi mamá me dio mi rosario, mi papá, my $100. The only $100 that he had, but it felt like 100 pounds of gold. And soon later, I grew courage when I saw them leave. I go into the counter where my bags were overweight, and I only had $10 for the first 2 weeks of college in my clothes and trash bags when I walked into one of the best universities in the world. But I grew courage. I grew courage because I remember what would my dad say when I was boxing in the ring. Dale, mijo, no pares. Puedes, tú puedes, don't stop. That's what kept me driving. When I arrived at Georgetown, I feel so intimidated because, for one, I've never seen so many white people besides Disney. And beyond that, academics, I was challenging because I never really had to read a real book in my public education, or just that idea of constantly being slashed and thinking, I don't belong here. My father has worked as a janitor all my life, and my mom has worked in a warehouse. Everyone around me, for the most part, we're coming from a privileged background. And when I say privilege, it's that they value the idea of an education, but I was there, and I was growing that courage. As I continued to study while at Georgetown, I learned that it's okay to be uncomfortable. We learn the most when we are uncomfortable. And if anything, I remember my first government class when my professor asked, who in here is a Democrat, a Republican, or independent? I had no idea what any of that meant, yet I was a government major. But then I started listening to my peers. They started talking about theories. They started talking about statistics. They started talking about our community. That's when I understood, that's me. Yo sé, I can do it. I can speak up. I spoke up and I grew courage. Through those 3 years of college, I was working 3 jobs. Although I had a full ride, it meant that I still had to provide for myself and a little bit for my family. I was working 25 to 30 hours of work, plus my community service that I was doing. But this idea of constantly fighting, constantly describing myself as a fighter, I grew courage because I understood that regardless of our zip codes or how low expectations are in our community or what we don't have, with courage, todo es posible. My sophomore, junior, senior year of college, I worked at the U.S. Department of Education preparing paperwork for the Secretary of Education. Soon later, I started working at the White House, literally watching the world come with President Obama. And there I was, a kid from the hood, a kid with parents that are immigrants, a kid that didn't belong, but I always had belonged. I just was growing enough courage to understand that dreams are for all of us. 5 years ago, I founded my nonprofit, the Puede Network. I'm currently working with over 530 families in the North Texas community, where I'm helping build scholars and let them know that we too can earn the privilege to dream. I grew courage after every positive experience in my life. I grew courage after every negative experience in my life. I grew courage as soon as I discovered the meaning behind my actions. Senior class of 2016, we are here to celebrate you, but also to challenge you. You can be great, but you're not there yet. My message for you guys is simple. Having the courage to find meaning behind your actions is what's going to allow our community to progress. When I talked about my experiences growing up, when I was hungry, that the only meals we had was what they gave us at school, was that now I'm hungry to make sure that no other kid has to go through that. When we didn't have the resources or the best equipment or the best opportunities in our community, now what I'm working towards is to make sure that every kid can earn the privilege to dream. When I talked about the idea of anger, of being from the hood and knowing how to throw some hands, is the idea, yeah, I'm a fighter, but no, I'm a fighter for something bigger than myself. I'm a fighter for those who cannot fight, for those who cannot speak for themselves. Every experience that I grew up with, I've been able to find the meaning. And that's my advice to you, senior class. Find that meaning, because when you find that meaning, you're unstoppable. Y ahorita acabo con ustedes. Ahora el mensaje es muy simple para los padres que están presentes. Yo hice la reflexión del esfuerzo y sacrificio de mis padres, que son inmigrantes de León, Guanajuato, México. Y para poder decirles a ustedes que yo no soy nadie sin el apoyo de mis padres y mi familia, será la única verdad. Hay veces que ustedes no van a entender los pasos que sus hijos están tomando para su futuro, pero lo más importante es siempre estar presente y decirles que sí se puede. Decirles que con ganas, esfuerzo y sacrificio, todo es posible en esta vida. Yo siempre me he describido como un peleador, como un luchador, alguien que pelea no nomás por los derechos de mi comunidad, derechos de mi familia, pero por los derechos de la gente que no puede y no tiene con qué. Padres, felicidades a ustedes por todo su esfuerzo. Y esa es la reflexión de ustedes, papás. Muchas gracias a los papás. Un aplauso para los papás. And in short, ya para acabar, ya se pararon. Never in a million years did I ever imagine of an opportunity of a higher education. And today, you guys are showing why it matters and why it's important to move forward. And I will remind you that there's so many other kids who don't have that privilege that we now have. When you arrive to college or whatever journey you take, it's going to be difficult and it's going to be challenging. As people of color, I'm brown and proud. We're against a system that wasn't built for us. But let's not fight the system or the people who are in control. Let's sit at the table and help them make decisions. Because just like I had the privilege to grow underprivileged and poor, I have a lot of attributes to share. So en fin, senior class, the peak senior class, you guys are special. Today I celebrate you guys, and we all celebrate, porque al fin, nuestra comunidad unida nunca es vencida. Que viva nuestra comunidad. Que viva Peak. No los escucho. Que viva. Que viva nuestra comunidad. Que viva sus hijos. Que viva la educación. Sí se puede. No los escucho. Sí se puede. La última vez. Sí se puede. Que Dios los acompañe y muchas gracias.
Parents, family, and loved ones, I stand before you today proud. Proud of the young adults to my left who spent the last 13 years working to this day, along with the sweat, tears, and well wishes of all the educators of Uplift Peak Preparatory. I congratulate you, class of 2016, on this very momentous achievement. My name is Samina Noorani, and I am the Uplift Peak Preparatory High School Director. When I was young, I remember hearing the following from my parents: struggle is the meaning of life. Graduates, I know your teachers struggled with you. From your first days of high school with Ms. Geis and Ms. Crouch, to your last days with Mrs. Gray, Ms. Howe, Mr. Dyer, and Mr. Morales, it is clear that you guys are a challenging bunch. And though that sounds like a bad thing, I am reminded of other people in our world who were deemed challenging by some. Mohandas Gandhi challenged the British Empire to lead his people to freedom. Nelson Mandela challenged the apartheid movement and became the first Black president of South Africa. And Rosa Parks, who challenged the societal norms of a segregated America, all were deemed challenging. All of these people struggled. They built the world they wanted, and they benefited all of us. I know many of you sitting here today struggle to get to this day. It is that struggle, it is that constant need to seek fairness that will lead you to greatness. On this very happy occasion, dance, sing, hug one another, and thank your teachers and families for helping you shine through to the future. Go off to college knowing that you have what it takes within you to impact the world for the better. Celebrate your struggle, couple it with unwavering focus and hard work, and you will achieve excellence. Remember, for Peak Scholars, only excellence will do. We love you. We will miss you. Go make us proud. Congratulations, class of 2016.
Booker T. Washington once said, "You can measure the size of the accomplishments by the obstacles you have to overcome to reach your goals." In late October, 2 of our 17-year-old female students boarded a plane to visit Bates College in Maine. On their way back, their first plane was delayed, causing them to be stranded at an airport in New Jersey. During the moments that followed, they were told They could not stay at the airport, nor would the airport assist them in finding accommodations for the night. But rather than crumbling in the face of this obstacle, these two young women worked tirelessly to recruit a parent that would support them as they negotiated their flight for the next day and their hotel for the night being fully paid for by the airport. If I had to quantify the size of overcoming that obstacle, it would not be a surprise that those two young women sit right behind me. You just heard a wonderful speech from Alejandra Aguilar. So please allow me to formally introduce the other young woman from this story. As the youngest of 4 children, Jessica has been supported by her family every step of becoming the young woman that she is today. The values and beliefs her parents instilled in her from San Luis Potosí, Mexico, have worked together to form the brilliant, innovative leader that is about to take the stage. At the beginning of this year, Jessica had no interest in chasing the title of valedictorian. She instead relished the opportunities to make herself better at every turn. In the fall, she stayed in our offices working on improving her writing ability and applying for fly-ins without any regard for the words minimum requirement. When senior prom felt like that it would not happen, Jessica spent her weekends getting approvals and visiting potential venues. It is through Jessica's relentless search of being at her best that she ultimately finished as our best. Please help me welcome the valedictorian for the class of 2016, Jessica Rodriguez.
Good afternoon. Mr. Frazier, thank you for those kind words. I'm honored and grateful to stand here before you today as your class valedictorian. After 9 years for most members of our class, 7 years for some, and 4 years for a couple, we can finally say farewell to Uplift Peak Preparatory, or Peak Academy, or Peak Advantage, or Peak Preparatory. Our school has had a lot of our names. Just as our high school has assumed new identities under different names, we too have changed frequently during our journey to this graduation ceremony. I know I'm a very discreet, private person who only allows certain people to see my inner struggles. I recognize that many of you may have an impression of me as an almost perfect girl with an easy path. A girl with high grades, high scores, a great car, and maybe in a perfect life. But just as another human being, I also have flaws and conflicts. It took me a while to accept and acknowledge my past. A past I never wanted anyone to mention or remember. A past that I didn't want to be associated with the new image I had created for myself. Believe it or not, I was once a rebellious 5th grader who did not care to break the stereotypes of the uneducated, low-income Hispanic females have. Yes, I was only a 5th grader when there were 2 police officers along with my elementary principal knocking on my friend's door because they caught us skipping school. The officers drove us back to our school, but we had to ride in the back of the police cars like criminals. Instead of feeling embarrassed for coming out of the back of the police car, I was feeling prideful and even a bit cool. However, those unforgettable, horrible, painful whoopings from my dad whipped a smile from my face that day. Skipping school as an 11-year-old was by far the most thoughtless and worst decision I have made. The incident was the catalyst that changed my educational trajectory. Just like changing identity of Uplift Peak, I made conscious decision to assume a new identity as a woman who would defy stereotypes. I know I would not be here speaking to you if it was not for my parents, especially my mom. Because of her, my path significantly changed from being maybe a dropout and possibly being pregnant to a girl who is now dedicated to success. Mamá, papá, yo no creo que les tengo que decir cuánto los quiero, porque yo sé que ustedes saben el amor que les tengo. Estoy muy agradecida y afortunada de tener unos padres como ustedes. I also want to thank one of my closest friends, Daisy, who's always been here for me. A couple of my peers have come up to us telling us that we're their best friend goals because we are the valedictorian and salutatorian of the class. I love you and thank you, Daisy. Another challenge that I have faced, and I'm sure many of us have or will face, is racism and discrimination. Throughout my freshman year, I believe that no matter how hard a low-income minority tried, they would not be successful. Because the idea was completely integrated in my head, I was willing to settle for less, until a new notion I began to believe in. Last summer, I interned at JP Morgan Chase. My manager had a plaque on his desk with a quote from Steve Jobs. It read, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of other people's opinions drown to your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition." Afterwards, I realized that you have to tell yourself who you are before other people try to do it for you. We are not going to let society try to define us as uneducated. We are not going to become just another number added to the list of college dropouts. We are not going to be who society expects us to be. We're going to be the change in how many minorities work in Congress, a change in how many we see as doctors, and a change in how many we see in the working in the STEM field. We're not going to give any more reasons for some to call us lazy and unimportant or rapists and criminals. Breaking the stereotype we face is not going to be a walk in the park. As Denzel Washington once said, "There's no doubt about us failing or losing. Failure is inevitable, so we have to learn how to not let failure stop us from continuing." 2 months ago, I failed. I made a mistake. I terminated a relationship with one of the most important persons in my life. I did not realize that I was caught up in my own feelings and comfort, and I had put that above of my relationship. While I was being treated like a queen in the relationship and being showed off to his world, he was kept a secret to mine. I, your valedictorian, was so close to giving up exactly 2 months ago from today. I had the perfect image, the perfect goal, painted in my head. When I realized how my mistake caused the image to shatter, it emotionally destroyed me. I felt so badly that I lacked the energy to continue trying as hard as I would have in school, and I was frequently absent. I was trapped in a box trying to repaint the image, but I failed to notice that my goal was not easy. I knew that obstacles would keep appearing, and it's up to me how I will overcome them. One of my closest friends told me, "Jessica, you can't hope for the best if you haven't prepared for the worst." And that's when I accepted to not only prepare to reach my goal, but also embrace my failures. Even after this failure, I'm still planning to piece back together the perfect image I visualized. It's not over until the moment you truly stop trying. So class of 2016, know that our identities will constantly change and we will falter in our steps to our goals, especially in our freshman year of college. When we are finally released from peak, remember to not let others try to label you. Even when whoever's telling you you can't, show them you can. And remember to embrace your failures and do not let them stop you from stepping back up. Thank you for your time. Jessica out.
We will now invest the class of 2016. When each graduate's name is called, they will come to the podium and receive their diploma. Juan Manuel Acosta. Alejandra Aguilar. Orlando Alfonso Venegas. Natalie Almaraz Favela. Jessica Angel. Andrea Guadalupe Aranda Aguilar. Jose Luis Barajas Beltran. Edwin Adrian Borrego. Yulisa Buendia. Saul Camacho. Daisy Campos. Elizabeth Canamar. Stephanie Carranza Ibarra. Saul Felipe Castillo. Rodolfo Castro Alvarez. Aldo Cepeda. Sarari Chavez. Cynthia Stephanie Joanna Clemente Montoya. Jacob Corpus. Alfonso Cuellar Jr. Daniela Cuevas Moreno. Andrea Stephanie Davilas Dueñas. Mauricio de Santiago. Esmeralda Delgado. Eric Fayad Martinez. Jacqueline Itzel Faz. Mariana Flores. Hannah Joy Fuentes. Alexis Gallegos. Adam Edward Guyona.
Jocelyn Garcia Garcia. Alexis Leonardo Garcia Ramos. Carlos Garcia Badillo. Andrea Michelle Garcia. Jordy Daniel Garcia. Stephanie Garcia. Mario Gonzalez. Yvonne Gonzalez Ortiz. Lizette Isabel Gonzalez. Jarisha Venice Granado. Tereso Guardado. Gilberto Alejandro Guerrero Cortinas. Lizette Guzman Navarrete. Ina Kyrie Harris. Mariela Hernandez Padilla. Alexander Giovanni Hernandez. Jennifer Hernandez. Lizandra Herrera. Raul Areola Huerta. Edgar Eduardo Jimenez. Rosa Isabel Jimenez. Luis Mario Juarez. Janet Landeros. Paul Alonzo Lavenant. Claudia Shaddai Lopez. Vicente Lopez. Sandra Luciano. Corina Maldonado Galarza. Karina Martinez. Erica Martinez. Joshua Jovan Martinez. Javier Membrilla Martinez. Mary Cruz Mendez. Bob Narvaez Rodriguez. Terry Wynn.
Mauricio Nunez Juarez. Jasmine Alexis Ortiz. Rebecca Osorio. Henry Paredes Cervantes. Joshua Pate Johnson. Alexis Marie Quevedo. Kenny Ramirez. Nayeli Lucero Ramirez. Stephanie Resendiz. Pernitria Riley Reiser. Patricia Rivera. Jessica Rodriguez. Isaac Salazar. Jose Antonio Salazar Gomez. Rosa Iris Salmarón Guzmán. Arturo Sanchez. Isabel Margarita Sanchez. Diana Vanessa Sanluiseño. Ivan Santillan. Dulce Fernanda Cerrato Garcia. Salma Carolina Silva. Adrian Silverio. Edward Jose Silverio. Maria de la Luz Tovar. Lisa Nicole Tristan. Mayel Valadez. Alexandra Natalie Valenzuela. Michelle Vargas. Jennifer Elizabeth Ventura. Leslie Alejandra Vieira Juarez. Jacob Emmanuel Villalobos. Mason Armand Williams. Stephanie Zamora. Nancy Zuniga Soto. Beginning in the 12th and 13th centuries, scholars were marked by their hoods and robes, similar to those you wear now. The high school faculty wear a variety of hoods based on their academic degrees and achievements. This is a nod to a nearly millennium-old tradition. You wear the gowns of academics and the caps of scholars about to enter the academy. As a mark of this transition, it is custom to move the tassel from the right side to the left side of your cap. Not yet, not yet. In this moment, we embrace our place in academia, our role in a legacy of scholarship. Class of 2016, please stand. Move the tassel from right to left. We now present to you the class of 2016.